The hidden room on the 13th floor. I'll never forget the day I stepped into a hotel room that shouldn't have existed. It all started when I arrived at a business trip in a city I'd never been to before. The hotel had great reviews online, a modern-looking building with all the amenities I needed for a couple of nights' stay. I checked in at the front desk, greeted by a smile from the young receptionist. She handed me my room key, and when I glanced at it, I saw that my room was located on the 13th floor. I didn't think much of it. After all, superstition isn't something I tend to worry about. But when I got to the elevator, things started to feel off. The elevator ride was smooth, but the air inside was unusually cold. I hadn't noticed it at first, but the chills seeped in, creeping up my spine as the elevator ascended. When I reached the 13th floor, the door opened to an empty hallway. The lights flickered overhead, giving the hallway a dim, eerie quality. There were only a few doors on either side, but what caught my attention was the silence. I don't know how to explain it, but the air felt heavy, unnatural, almost as if the hallway itself was holding its breath. I glanced at the sign on the wall. Floor 13, no access. Confused, I stepped back and looked at the elevator buttons. Sure enough, the 13 button was still lit up. I checked the hallway again, my pulse quickening. I could have sworn I saw a shadow move at the far end of the hall, just beyond the corner. I stood there for a moment, unsure what to do. The elevator doors began to close, but before I could move, the sound of a door creaking open echoed from behind me. I spun around, heart pounding in my chest, but there was no one there. Nothing. I felt a deep sense of unease, but I couldn't bring myself to leave yet. I had to at least see where this room was. I walked cautiously down the corridor, my footsteps echoing in the silence. The flickering lights overhead did nothing to help the growing tension. And then, I saw it. At the very end of the hallway there was a door. It was slightly ajar, but there were no signs to indicate that it was a hotel room. No number on the door. No label of any kind. I approached it slowly, feeling a strange pull. It was as though something was urging me to open it. When I did, my stomach dropped. The room beyond was unlike any I had seen before. It was small, cramped, with old-fashioned furniture covered in dust. The walls were peeling, the wallpaper faded and torn in several places. A single light bulb hung from the ceiling, casting a dull, flickering glow. But the worst part, the room was completely bare of any hotel amenities. No bed, no dresser, no television, just 4 empty walls and a thick, unsettling silence. I stepped inside and the door slammed shut behind me, as though some unseen force was trying to trap me in this forgotten place. The chill in the air intensified, and I felt the hair on the back of my neck stand up. Something about this room felt wrong. I tried the door handle, but it wouldn't budge. Panic began to rise in my chest. My mind raced as I tried to rationalize what was happening. This had to be some sort of mistake. Maybe an old storage room, perhaps an abandoned part of the hotel they forgot to close off? I turned and walked to the window, hoping to see something familiar, but instead, I was met with a brick wall just inches away from the glass. I felt trapped, suffocated by the walls closing in around me. Then I heard it, a low, guttural whisper coming from the far corner of the room. My heart skipped a beat and I turned so fast I nearly lost my balance. There was nothing there, just the shadows creeping along the walls. But the whispering continued. It wasn't words I could understand, just an eerie, unintelligible murmur that grew louder with each passing second. I pressed my ear to the wall, trying to figure out what it was. Was it the building? The pipes? No, it was too personal. Too alive. I tried the door again, harder this time, but it remained sealed shut. Panic took over. I ran to the window, tried to force it open, but it wouldn't budge. My breath quickened, my heart raced. I was trapped. The whispers filled the room, now accompanied by a faint knocking sound, like someone was rapping at the door from the outside. Suddenly, the door handle turned. I froze, my eyes fixed on it, heart thumping in my chest. The door creaked open, and standing in the doorway was the receptionist from earlier. She looked different. Her smile was gone, replaced by a hollow expression that seemed almost unnatural. "You're not supposed to be here," she said in a voice that sent chills running down my spine. Before I could respond, she stepped back into the hallway, and the door slammed shut behind her. The knocking and whispering stopped abruptly, leaving an unbearable silence in its wake. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, not knowing what to do. Finally, I managed to turn the handle one last time. The door opened easily this time, and I stepped out into the empty hallway. The elevator was waiting for me. When I checked out the next morning, I mentioned the strange encounter to the front desk. The receptionist looked at me with confusion. "There is no 13th floor in this hotel," she said, her eyes narrowing as if trying to process my words. "We don't have any rooms on that floor." I left without asking any more questions, but deep down, I knew I had experienced something that should have been impossible. The room on the 13th floor wasn't just a mistake. It was something else entirely. Something that still lingers in my mind even now,